Hello everybody and welcome back to Dragon Wing Diamonds. I am here today with a WIP in chat. WIP stands for Work in Progress and chat. Well, I'm just going to tell you about my week. Excuse me, I'm already getting stepped up here already. So, what I am still working on is Moms Are the Real Superheroes. We're going to hopefully get a decent way through this third section. Not bad for the 2 sections with only doing this during my WIP and chats, so it's coming along. And I like the fact that it's kind of like being a long-term project, even though it is a little snack size. So what I'm using today, as usual, my Blue Dragon pen. My this one's from DP with Sparklers. Cover minder. The tips are from Diamond Art Club. They're the Everlast tips, I think, the metal tips. I have today my Muni Made tray because I just brought it back upstairs. And then washi tape is Simply Gilded. And then, of course, standard Diamond Art Club tweezers. Oh yeah, and then what I have in my placers are Rainda's Crafty Corner Coffee Cake Putty. Excuse me. I think that's everything. Wow, it's like really blinding. I have like a thank you thing over here that's like shining. Move it over here away from the light. Okay. So, I think that's about it. So, how are you guys doing today? I'm doing pretty okay today. Like, I'm dealing with my last day of, like, actual classes right now and basically prepping for the finals to come and stuff like that. So, that's been pretty, I mean, it's actually been surprisingly relaxing. I'm not too worried. At least about my well, actually I'm not too worried about any of my finals. Excuse me. My American drama final, it's basically just like, oh, what play is this from? What's the authors look like? That part I'm a little bit more worried about, but I have a little study guide that I'm gonna just look over a couple times before the test. It's not until like next Wednesday, so I got time. So I'm not like 100% worried about it. And then as of right now, the only other final, well, I mean, I guess I have 2 other finals aside from that, but they're both like online. So it's like, oh, write this paper, and I mean, it's pretty basic. I think I told you guys last week about what we did to my poor teacher. Well, we looked at the time for the final, and it was like 5:20 to 7:20 at night, and I'm like, yeah, my daughter doesn't sleep very well if we're both not home at her bedtime. She just like refuses to sleep. And my teacher's got a 3-year-old herself, and she's like, well, I don't wanna have a messed up bedtime that night either. And then Sarah, she was like thinking about it. She's like, you know what? I'll just do it online. You guys will only have like a couple days to get it done, and then it'll be that. And so I was like, yes, that takes that pressure off. So yeah. And then the third final it's like my Edgar Allan Poe and Louisa May Alcott class. I'm still not entirely sure what he's gonna do with it, but it sounds like it's just write this paper. So that should be easy as well. And then like I just have the final essay for another one of my classes, and then I'm actually completely done with another, like my my writing, my nonfiction workshop class. So yeah, we're progressing pretty nicely with school. Oh yeah, I mentioned at the end of the WIP and chat last week to tell you guys about the mouse situation. So if you guys have been following me for a little bit, I do have another WIP and chat from a couple weeks ago titled Stupid Mice. So basically the story behind that one is that a mouse, like, you know, winters get really cold here and everything like that, and we live by the lake with like woods behind us and everything like that, so we have a lot of critters out here. And a mouse got into the house, which, I mean, that's pretty normal. Mice get in, the cats catch them, and they go back outside. But yeah, there was a mouse that discovered our oven, basically, and they have been living in the oven this whole time. And the cats, they're usually pretty good at catching mice, but they could not, like, this mouse kept outsmarting them. It was just ridiculous. Like, Jonesy would be out in the kitchen camping for days, and like this mouse did not come out. Like there's times where you could hear it moving, and he was like over by the oven and like staring at it and stuff like that. But yeah, he just couldn't, like they could not. This mouse was outsmarting them too much. So and then that was also when we discovered that the mouse had been like, urinating in our oven. So we haven't been able to use our oven in weeks. And like we've been, like, my fiance's been meaning to do a deep clean on it, but we also had this like issue of like, well, we're gonna end up searing this mouse if it's still in there, because we weren't sure 100% if it was like inside the oven or where it was. Plus, with it being there, it's like, okay, well, we're gonna do this cleaning, and he's just gonna go right back in and mess with it again. And like, I did some research into it, like one of those situations, like, okay, does the heat actually cook it? Like, does the heat like nullify it? Like boiling and stuff like that. No, it doesn't, because they have a lot of bacteria and stuff like that. So it's really unsafe to eat stuff that's been prepared in an oven with a mouse, unfortunately. Not that, like, I mean, I was at that point where I was like, no, I can't do this. Like, we can't use this oven right now. It just, not for, like, I wanted to make sure, like, my family was safe and we were safe, like, all that stuff, like the kids and everything. So yeah, basically, we were getting pretty fed up because this thing was still in there, like, a couple weeks ago, and we're like, oh my god. So I asked my fiance, I'm like, can you at least, because he was, I think it was when he was dropping the kids off. Oh, Shadow's crawling under the covers. I think it was when he was dropping the boys back off with their mom. He was like, okay, I'm gonna go get us food, and then I was like, well, can you pick up some no-kill mouse traps? And he's like, they have those? And I was like, yeah. I had to use them when I was pet sitting for my cousins and their hamster got away. He's like, well, are you sure that it was no-kill? I'm like, yes, I'm positive it was a no-kill. I did the research and everything. So he ended up getting a couple of those no-kill mouse traps. And then basically what they do is, like, they have like a little hatch on the back that you it's like you screw it off, and then you can like slather it in peanut butter, and then you put it back into the trap, so then the peanut butter is inside the trap. And then the trap is like set up to use the mouse's weight against them, so when they go into the trap, it like clicks up and traps them inside of it. So the first night we had those traps sitting there, we were about ready to head to bed, and all of a sudden we hear this little in the kitchen, and I kind of like looked at my fiance. I'm like, I think you caught a mouse. He's like, I think I did too. And so, like, the original plan was we were going to like when we caught it, we were gonna just drive it out to a field that's like further away from our house, because we live near, and this is gonna sound terrible, we live near a hawk reservation. Not that I was gonna send it there to die, no, it's just there's a lot of fields out here. Oh my god, that was terrible. Anyways, so yeah, we live near a hawk reservation, so we were just gonna drop it in like a random fielded area so it could just not come back in our house and like explore and stuff like that. But it was 1:00 in the morning, and I was like, and my fiance's like, well, I can go do this. I'm like, no, like, my mind, you're gonna get pulled. Like, I was thinking, like, you're gonna get pulled over, or you're gonna get stopped by a cop because you're just like standing in a fort, like in a field in the middle of the night. Like, that's just weird. I was like, no, just release it in the backyard. Like, take it out to the woods in the back and like toss it out there, and if it comes back in, then we'll worry about taking it elsewhere, but hopefully that would have been enough. So far, the mouse has not come back, because we kept the traps out for a couple days after that, just to make sure. And yeah, so that is the current conclusion of the mouse story. At this point now, we can start focusing on getting our oven back in order so we can actually use that again. And like, my fiance is literally gonna figure out how to take it apart inside and like deep clean it and everything like that down to the burners. And then hopefully with doing that, we'll find out where the mouse got in the first place. So that way we can hopefully prevent that from happening again, because that was not fun. But yeah, so that happened a couple weeks ago, and I forgot to mention it on my last WIP and chat. So yeah, that's the mouse conclusion story. Mouse is not returned. Yeah, he said he thought it was pretty disoriented, and it was like rainy the night, and like our backyard has been a swamp, so I don't think it could have made it back to the house very easily. And then also there was a turkey vulture in our backyard last week too, so there's a possibility the mouse is gone. It was food. Yeah, we had a lot of nature in our backyard last week. We saw a turkey vulture and a groundhog. It was pretty cool. I got the picture of the turkey vulture, and my fiance tried to get a picture of the groundhog, but he said it turned out looking like just like a brown lump. But yeah, he was back there chomping on some grass. Okay, so let me think. So the rest of last week was pretty normal, I'd say. Just basically school and stuff like that. Started looking into getting my work published. I remembered talking about this publication website when, like, not like last semester, I think it was. Yeah, I did writer's craft during the fall. Yeah, we were talking about it last semester, and my teacher was like, "Oh yeah, this is a great website because it keeps track of what you submitted and where, and then like you can update it from like directly from here to be able to like say like, oh yeah, I can no longer submit this work to you because it's already published with another person and stuff like that." So yeah, it's a nice way of keeping track of all that. Plus, it gives you like an opportunity to browse through magazines and stuff like that, and like publication journals and everything like that to figure out like sometimes like they'll say like, oh, this magazine's about like or for like this one's coming to my mind because it popped up as like, oh, we're looking for queer writers and stuff like that, and so it gives you like a nice little explanation about what the magazine is looking for, and then you can submit your work and everything like that, and they'll let you know if there's a fee along with it and all that. So I started looking through that. I didn't really get too into depth in it yet, mostly because when I did start looking through it, it was when the boys were coming back. So I was like, okay, well, I can worry about this later. Okay, started banging downstairs. I don't know what my child is doing. She's with her father though, so probably beating him up. Oh yeah, so end of last week, I went to a play last week. That's right. I think I mentioned I was going to go do that. So I had to go see a play and do a performance review for my American drama class. And the college happened to be putting on one of the plays that we actually read during the semester. So that was pretty exciting to see that portrayed on stage. So we got a babysitter for Sydney, and of course, boys were still with their mom at that point because it was on Thursday. So we got a babysitter for Sydney, and oh my gosh, I did not see my child from like 1:30 and or no 2 o'clock because I was dropped off at school, which I'll explain all that. But I did not see my child from 2 p.m. until the next day, and that was pretty rough. And then I also ended up sleeping in the next day, so I didn't even get up with her in the morning, so that was kind of rough. But yeah, so Thursday I had my classes as normal, so I had my first class, hung out at the college for a bit, and then had my second class. I was out of class about was it 5 to 6:15? 6:15. And then I'm just gonna take a sip here. Okay. Yeah, got out of class 6:15. My fiance came to get me, and then we went and got some dinner, and then we went to the performance. It was like perfectly laid out where we could just eat and then get back in time for the show. So we did that, and then we took our seat, or we got into the performance, took our seats and everything, and my buddy Stefan was was on the other end of the like row and stuff like that, and we were like talking and back and forth and stuff like that because I was asking him about grades and everything like that, and then like they came down with like this huge group that they were trying to like seat together and stuff like that. He's like, "Oh, I can move over if you need me to," and I'm like, "I see what you're doing there." And then he scooted over and sat next to me for the show. But we were kind of, it was kind of funny because like the play we saw was Sweat, which is basically, it's about the 2000 recession, and like when companies started to like treat their workers like garbage. It's about like a factory that was trying to like take away their benefits packages and stuff like that and offer them no retirement and all that craziness. And basically like the story ends up progressing to the point like all the workers end up out of the job because they refuse to take a deal to like the deal is like give up all of your benefit packages like your retirement and healthcare and all that stuff, and also take a pay cut while working more hours and all stuff. So it was like it was insane. But the primary focus is on a couple of the factory workers. It's like Tracy, Jesse, and Cynthia. Cynthia is they specifically cast her as an African American, and she is she ends up being somebody who gets a promotion, and it's based off her work and stuff like that. But it ends up also being like a double-edged sword because the promotion comes in time for the company to start locking out the workers and stuff like that and start laying them off. And so she ends up in that horrible situation of having to tell her friends that they don't have a job anymore. And, you know, of course, that's going to cause drama and everything we love in plays. So, but yeah. So yeah, we went to go see that, and it was pretty good. Like, with me having read the script though, I could see like the bits and pieces where things got messed up. Like I could tell the one point where Cynthia clearly forgot her lines, and then Tracy, the girl playing Tracy, at least she jumped in really quick to like recover and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, those little things aside, it was a really good show, and like the set was really cool, like really well done. It made you really feel like you were in a small town, like a small bar and stuff like that, because that's where the setting of the show happens and all that. So yeah, and like whoever the people that they had cast also were just like absolutely fantastic. Like I think they cast the show really well. So yeah, we went to go see that, and then the next day I was talking to one of my classmates who actually is stage crew. Well, she was doing a lot more. She was like doing all the lighting and stuff, I think. But yeah, she was asking me what I thought of the show. I'm like, oh, it was pretty good and stuff like that. And then I was telling her stuff about my fiance and how he like him liking it and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, that was your fiance? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, girl. I'm like, yeah, that's right, he's mine. Like, yeah, I did well for myself. But yeah, it was pretty funny. And then also that day in class, we were doing another assignment where we had to perform some of the scenes up in front of the class. So we were in groups and stuff like that. And my group, we were doing a scene from the play Angels in America. And it was really funny because like when we were first like deciding what roles we were all gonna play, or Stefan immediately was like, I'm gonna be this guy. And then he was like used to us the guys of like, I'm the only gay man here, I get to choose which gay man I get to play. It's like, oh, okay, fair enough. We can't argue that logic, right? So then we're going through and deciding other roles and stuff like that, and then I basically was like, I don't care who I play, so why don't you guys all choose the characters you want, and then I will basically take whoever's left. And then so we went through and did that, and then of course the person who was left was so Stefan was playing Pryor, and then my character was Lewis, who is Pryor's boyfriend, who happens to be leaving him in that scene. And so like there's a lot of like, yelling that comes in the scene because it's actually written in the script that he's getting like angry and stuff, because like basically the premise behind it is that Pryor has AIDS and Lewis is leaving him because he can't stand around and watch Pryor die, which, you know, that's not what you're supposed to do to people who definitely need you and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a very heated scene, and then like when we all decided parts and everything like that, Stefan just like goes, wait a minute, no, I can't yell at Mackenzie. She's a perfect angel. She needs to be protected. I was like, wait, what? It was so funny. Because I wasn't expecting it. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah. Um, so yeah, we're like, so we had a good laugh about that, but we did get through the scene, and Stefan yelled at me with no issues, and I played my role pretty well, I think. And yeah, we ended up getting 100 on that, so I'm really excited about that. I actually saw that grade earlier, and I was like, yes, 100. So yeah. Yeah, and also, fun fact we discovered this week, apparently I used to work with Stefan's or not boyfriend, oh my god, Stefan's brother. Yeah, he went up to my friend Tori and he's like, hey, you work with my brother. And I know Tori from work, like, we used to work together too. And I just, like, turned and looked at him, like, wait, who's your brother? And he was like, oh, it's this person. I'm like, oh, well, guess what? I used to work with your brother too. And he was like, wait, what? You work there too? I'm like, yeah, that's how I know Tori. So, small world. It's always so funny. Okay. Yeah, so. And then, like, Friday night, I didn't really do much. I was kind of, I needed a lazy Friday, I think. Because I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about any homework assignments tonight. I don't have to worry about anything really. So I'm just going to kick back and I'm going to relax. And that's what I did. And then Saturday, once again, we just kind of had a relaxing day. I basically just diamond painted all day Saturday and while catching up on videos and stuff like that because I'd fallen behind on watching YouTube videos while I was sick. And I'm finally caught up, but you know, everybody posts so many videos in a week. Hold up. It's a high school bus. Okay. I was like, wait, is that time already? I'm like, no, wait. Okay. That's just a high school bus. Oh, let me pull this close again. Okay. Thought my kids were home, but nope, they are not. Yeah, so I'm not anywhere close this time. Okay. Apparently, I'm out of my brain. So yeah, Saturday was pretty chill. I got to diamond paint all day because my fiance went and hung out with his friends later on, so he was taking care of little miss while I was diamond painting. And then we got her in bed, and then my fiance left to go hang out with his friends. And like, I will admit, this weekend was really rough on me mental health wise, because of like a couple of events. So my previous relationship was not the best at all. Basically, what was that? Thanks, Sydney just threw a pineapple out of the playpen. Yeah, so my previous relationship was not the best. I basically got, I mean, he basically treated me like I was the neediest person in the world because I would ask to spend some sort of like, all he asked for was like an hour or like a length of a movie, just like watch a movie with me before you go back on voice chat with your friends and I don't get to like interact with you for hours on end. But he used to do this thing when we were together. Like he would go out with his friends, never really knew where they were or anything like that. He just would go out with them, and I wouldn't hear from him at all for hours on end. And like because of that and like the mistrust and all that I dealt with, it caused like, I mean, it was just a lot of issues and a lot of trauma that I'm still carrying with me that I'm still working through. Now, yeah, we'll go to the next part of this where I was saying my fiance spent some time with his friends. I knew where they were. I had no problems there. Like they were all hanging out at like one of his friends has his wife owns a chiropractic office and so they brought some video games and board games over there and they just hung out and played games all night. So like I knew there was nothing to worry about. I knew everything was okay, but it was just one of those situations where my brain just kind of took over. So like he left about 7:30 and then we got close to or it was like about midnight and I had finished the section of diamond painting I'd been working on, so I sent him a text and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" stuff like that. And then like about half an hour later he texted me. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're wrapping up now and I'll be home soon." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But, by that point I was already having an anxiety attack. It's like it's not because I don't like I trust my fiance. I trust him more than anything. He's been so good to me. He's been helping me recover from a lot of my trauma. A lot. Like that was really bad pickup. Yeah, so he's been helping me a lot with that aspect of everything, but there are some times where you have triggers and those triggers bring things back. And so this weekend was definitely one of those triggers. So Saturday was pretty rough on me. And then we got to Sunday and I was feeling better in the morning. Like obviously I still had some lingering problems and stuff like that. And then of course, on top of it, I haven't really slept in days because usually what we do is like we'll trade off who's sleeping in with the baby and stuff like that. Um but like like what was it, Friday morning I was supposed to sleep in, I think. And then because I went to bed at like 11 o'clock the night before, because Thursday I was exhausted by the time we were done with everything. I literally went to bed at 11 o'clock. Because of that, when I woke up in the morning, I was like, well, I'm wide awake right now, and it's time for the baby to be up, or the baby was up. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just get up with her and let him sleep. So I did that. And then Saturday, similar situation happened, where it's just like I woke up and like, you know how you get those headaches where you just know if you try to fall back asleep, you're just gonna end up with a migraine or something later on in the day. I had one of those, so I just got up with her, and then of course, like he stirred like an hour and a half later, and he came downstairs. And was like, "Hey, I was supposed to get up with her." I'm like, "Yeah, but I knew if I fell back asleep, I'd be having a miserable rest of my day, so I just got up with her." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And then, I think yeah, it's basically been happening. It happened on Saturday or Sunday too. I just kind of like woke up and I was like, well, I'm awake. I'll just get up with her, let him sleep again. And then, so yeah. So that means Sunday night I was exhausted by the time I got to the end of it. But, anyways, Sunday was the day we got the boys back. So we spent the day relaxing and doing whatever while waiting for pickup time because he goes to get them about 6:30 or no 6 o'clock, and then he'll get McDonald's because his ex-wife lives like right around the corner from McDonald's, like literally walking distance from McDonald's. So we get that for our dinner on Sundays, and then they come home. And so they got home, and I kept Sydney up late so that she could see her brothers, and so they could see her because I know last time they came over, we kind of had a situation where Alex was really upset. And so I was like, well, I think part of it, like avoiding that would be like just having her awake when he gets here. And so I did. I kept her up, and I mean, she was content and happy, and she was just playing, so it wasn't a big deal keeping her up a little bit later. I mean, it was only half an hour later, and honestly, I don't know if she's really gone to bed at her bedtime very much this week, anyways. Little Miss is too cool for sleep right now, so she ends up staying up in her crib and playing with her pacifier for like half an hour or an hour. But yeah, I. So yeah. So yeah, Monday or Sunday I did some homework and then we got the boys back and then I think I was also playing Genshin a little bit because I know I talked about my computer drama. Well, I got my computer back to a state where I can actually play games on it. Yay. Um, but it's like I'm at that point too where I was just like I was so focused on getting my kit done before May started because I was finishing up the Watcher from Craftably, which I did finish. I finished it like at 2 o'clock in the morning. I stayed up way too late to do that, but I did. But I got that finished, and then I got my kits started for May. But yeah, I was just like so focused on finishing that I haven't really been in the mood to game very much. So yeah. But I was playing for a little bit, and then Sydney got a little. She was like getting angry at the fact that my back was to her, even though I was like trying to sit sideways, so I was somewhat near her, like somewhat facing her. But she was just not having it, so ended up having to get in the playpen with her and just chill in there with her until the boys all got home. And then I just basically left the game running on my computer the whole time because I was like, okay, I'll get back to it later. Spoiler alert, I did not get back to it later. Because a whole bunch of stuff happened after the boys got back. So basically, we have a situation. So the boys both have their Switches, and they both have, well, Alex has a dock for his, well, had a dock for his. It's a story of how how he no longer has a dock for it. And then Drake is currently using my Switch dock because I basically usually play my Switch handheld anyways. I prefer it that way. But, so I was like, yeah, instead of having to go out and get him a new Switch dock right now when we really can't afford it, we'll do it later on when we can, because, we had Sydney's birthday, and now we have Alex's birthday is on Sunday. So it's just like we have crazy birthdays right now, and a lot because we just did the big party for Sydney, and then we got to worry about getting gifts for Alex, which one of the things he wants is a game, like a Switch game, which is like $60. So I mean, yeah, we can't afford another dock right now. So, yeah, basically, there was a situation a couple weekends ago where I don't remember the full details. All I know is like Alex was either not listening or talking back or something along those lines while my fiance was trying to handle Sydney when she was like fussing and stuff like that. I think this was when I was sick. So that's why I wasn't helping at all, is because I was literally upstairs in bed sleeping. And then the result of whatever Alex was doing was my fiance grabbing a Switch out of the dock. But since he was trying to do it one-handed, he pulled the Switch out, and part of the dock came with it. And it was one of those situations where clearly the thing had been damaged beforehand. That was just the thing that sent it over the edge. So it was like, okay, well, this is obviously from dropping on the floor a million times. It just had that last little push, and then it was broken. So his dock was officially unusable at that point. And so we're like, okay, so because of the circumstances of how this happened, we are willing, because basically the rule is if you break it, you're not getting another one. That's our standard rule. But because of the circumstances where, even though like the damage had been done slightly over time, the final push was because of my fiance. We decided like, okay, we will get you another dock, but it's going to be a birthday present, and you're not going to get another birthday present on top of it, or one of those type of deals. Like, it's going to take the place of one of his birthday presents. So instead of him getting something else that he would want, like a Lego set or a skateboard or something, I don't know. I'm just saying things. That one was really funky. I don't like it. Never mind, it's not funky. Well, I still don't like it. Go away. Oh. Yeah, so basically instead of us getting something else like that, he's getting a dock. But we also had to throw in the caveat of, but if you bring your dock over from your mom's house, we're not doing that. Like, we're not going to get you a dock. So yeah, that leads to this weekend now. So Sunday they come back, and my fiance's like, yeah, so the dock is here. And I was like, what? And then he was like telling me like, yeah, basically he forgot what we had said initially about it and everything like that. And then this is the part that's a problem for me personally, is that basically the boy's mom made the decision herself to send the dock here. And it's like, okay, well, that's not your decision to make. This is our house, and She doesn't like it when we dictate, like when we try to say like, hey, can you make sure the boys take a shower, you know, stuff like that. She doesn't like when we come at her about stuff that happens in her house, so she doesn't like, yeah, when she does stuff like that, it makes me upset personally, especially because it's like, okay, well, you have no respect to me as the woman of this house now. So yeah, that kind of spiraled things out of control. And then there was something else. Oh yeah, and then we were like talking about it and everything like that. And I was basically just sticking to what we said. And I was like, well, the doc is here. Like, because apparently there was a whole lot of confusion and stuff like that. And at one point, Alex thought my fiance said, sure, to bring the doc over, but he had definitely not said that. I was like, sounded like he was saying something else. And like, I don't know. There was a lot of confusion, a lot of people talking all at once. So a lot of what happened is happening with this situation. But I was saying, like, well, we should stick to what we agreed on because, you know, we gotta teach these kids responsibility and the consequences for their actions and not listening and all that stuff. And then, like, you know, Alex, every time he gets in trouble, he starts to cry. And, like, I'm literally sitting there trying to finish my dinner because basically everybody got home. Everybody got home, and then I immediately put Sydney in bed, so I didn't start my dinner till after everybody else had. And so I'm like sitting there trying to eat my French fries, and he's sitting there crying in front of me, and I'm like, I just got upset because I'm like, man, so I'm like, this really isn't fair that you're gonna sit there and make me feel bad because I had to discipline you. Like, come on, kid. So that was a whole situation. I ended up like being like, okay, I'm gonna go upstairs because I just can't handle it. And so I brought my French fries and my Coke upstairs, and I laid in bed and ate fries. And then my fiance came up and he was like trying to, you know, tell me the situation without having like the input from Alex and Drake and stuff like that. And like I explained to him why I was upset with the situation and everything like that. Um, and then like I don't know, because then we were talking about like, but he was like, oh, but I still want to get him the doc for his birthday, and I'm like, well, he's not gonna learn anything. He's like, yeah, but I don't want to deal with him not having a doc. And it's like, okay, this is like one of those grounds where we have to choose between um doing something that's easier for us or doing something that's gonna solidify the lesson. And so like we were trying to come up with a solution where he can get the doc, because like what I was thinking was like, okay, well maybe we just don't give him the doc for his birthday and then wait till Christmas. And he's like, well, do you want to wait that long with him not having a doc? Because basically the situation, as fashion for any child, Alex's Switch is pretty busted up right now. He damaged the like Joy-Con rails on the side of it, so on one of them, so one of his Joy-Cons doesn't hook up properly, doesn't charge properly, and all that stuff. So it is kind of important that he has a dock to play the Switch. And yeah. So yeah. So we were just like talking, trying to figure that out. And what we ended up coming to is like we will be getting him a dock. It won't be for his birthday. He'll get it. He'll have to wait until after his birthday. And basically he's gonna have to earn it. So like all the stuff that we've been trying to get them to do, well, now he's gotta do that stuff to earn a dock. Meaning, so he's got to flush the toilet, clean up after himself. And then we also, like, my fiance, or I was like, oh, he can help you with dishes and stuff like that, you know, just like after dinner, put the dishes in the dishwasher, help you put dishes away, stuff like that. And so that's what we ended up coming to, and Alex was agreeing upon it. And so we're gonna proceed like that. So yeah. And then there was another situation later that night because like, I basically stayed upstairs all whole night because I was just I was tired, I was burnt out, like I was upset, like I was not in a good headspace at all. And you know, I'm sitting there doing my worry like I do that the kids are gonna end up hating me because you know I discipline and stuff like that. And I flat out told my fiance, I'm like, I guess I'm done disciplining because I don't want to feel like this. And then he's like, well, I can't do it all myself. And it's like, well, I can't keep doing this, you know? And then he was worried that I was just gonna like disengage and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna just like disappear. Like, I'm not gonna just not be present and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just gonna leave the disciplining up to you because obviously I'm just, I don't know. These are my struggles, my constant struggles. So yeah, guys, we're almost done with the blue on this one. Yay! Around this section, more blue to come over here. But yeah, later that night, I was just chilling upstairs, and like my fiance had stayed down there to have a conversation with Alex while Drake came up and started getting ready for bed and stuff like that. And then Alex ended up leading into talking about like the fact that he can't really skateboard out here at our house versus his mom's house. So basically, the main difference between the two houses is that his mom lives in a cul-de-sac. So like they are on a dead end cul-de-sac where there's literally the people residents around there know there's kids everywhere, so they don't speed through there and everything like that. We live on a road that is also a dead end, but people go like 50 down our road to get to their houses at the end. So our place is not as safe as their mom's house is for being outside and stuff. So he was like talking about, how he wishes he could skateboard here more and all this stuff. And, I'm like hearing the conversations. Like at one point he was like, yeah, mom said that if I wanted to skateboard, then she can take me to the skate park and stuff like that. And it's like, well, that's like giving up. Oh, these Mini Me and Trace do not work good for this. Okay. For these containers. Let go. Go. There we go. Yay. Okay, we're good. Problem solved. Okay. Yeah, so, we were trying to, like, well, I wasn't present for the conversation, but I know my fiance was like, well, yeah, I know our road's a little bit more limited on stuff like that, and he was, like, talking about, like, how he missed, like, he hasn't even been able to bike ride and stuff like that out here, and we're like, well, last summer was a special circumstance because A, we had a newborn, and B, I was still recovering from having said newborn. It took me a while to recover from that because, that shit's painful, basically. Anybody who's had kids can probably attest. Well, I mean, yeah. I was gonna say, well, had kids naturally, but I mean, C-sections are also a pain to recover from too, because, well, I can guess just based on like the abdominal surgeries I have had. Yeah. But yeah, it's all rough to recover from. And so last summer, yeah, we weren't doing much because A, Sydney was a baby, not quite sleeping on a regular schedule yet, and B, like, I was recovering. And so, like, he was like, yeah, I don't get to ride my bike anymore and stuff like that. And it's like, well, what we used to do during the summer is, like, the boys would get on their, well, he would get on his bike, Drake would get on his scooter, I think, because Drake doesn't, I don't know, he didn't really ride his bike very much. Or maybe there's something wrong with it. I don't remember. It was a while ago. It was like 2 summers ago. Lots happened since then. But he was like, yeah, he would get on a scooter, Drake would get on a scooter, Alex would get on his bike, and we would go down to, down our road there, we have a pocket park, which has like a little swing set and stuff like that, so we would walk down there with the boys, let them do their riding and stuff, and then once we got there, they would swing for a little bit, and then we'd turn around and come home. And, like, we did that quite often during the summer. And, yeah, we just weren't able to do that last summer because, Sydney kind of stole the show last summer. And so, like, he was saying, like, he was talking about that and how, like, his bike here probably doesn't fit him anymore and stuff like that. And we're like, well, I mean, yeah, the bike is probably small on you now because you have grown a freaking lot. But, like, the tires and stuff are still fine on it. We can still get that working. And then, yeah, we can definitely like do more like that this summer, and we do plan on it because we want Sydney to experience stuff too. Like we want her to be able to like be out, um, discovering like grass and dirt and all that fun stuff. So yeah, we plan on doing more of that this summer. We were reassuring him of that. Like, don't you worry, like we'll do that. And then I was saying like, yeah, and then after I get a job, we will look into getting the two of you new bikes. What's up? I can. Okay, I'll be done in a sec. It's the first time you guys heard my fiance. But anyways, yeah, we're like, yeah, when I'm working, we can go ahead and get you guys some new bikes, and yeah, it'll be great. So yeah, but as you just heard, I have to wrap things up here. My fiance's got a meeting, and sounds like baby girl is going crazy, but I mean, so yeah, it's gonna be a shorter whip and chat today, and I do apologize for that. But really, you guys see this? No, not the hair, but you see that? Yeah, so it'll be a shorter whip and chat today because I need to go be a mommy. But yeah. Nope, now she's mad. Oh no. Man, he's leaving me with a mad baby. What the heck? Just kidding. Anyways, so yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to throw me a thumbs up. Oh yeah, and if you made it to the end here, why don't you throw a bicycle emoji, because that was the story I was just talking about. And that's fresh in my mind, so that's how it's gonna work. So yeah, throw up a little bicycle emoji. And let me know, what do you guys usually do during the summers? Like, I'm curious to know. Yep, so make sure you like this video, throw me a comment. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to hit that little subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I post videos. Whip and chats are generally posted on Wednesdays, and other videos such as like small shop hauls, post reviews, what have you, those will be posted basically as I get stuff done, as I get stuff in, etc. So yeah, and yep, that'll be it for this one, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.